Alrighty, tighty, here we go. Welcome back to the program, everybody. Welcome back to the program, everybody. Welcome back to another show. Welcome back to another episode. Good morning to all of my viewers, listeners, and Soul Tribe family. The name of this program is called It's a Conspiracy, but It Ain't No Theory. On today's episode, I'm going to be discussing gang stalking plus, surviving the New World disorder per usual, surviving manufactured chaos, surviving manufactured karma, surviving white genocide, and last but not least, surviving the electronic targeting holocaust. My name is Adrienne Alese. I am the author and creator of a book trilogy called Lucy's Lair, Part 1, 2, and now 3. Lucy's Lair is a book trilogy reflecting my life as a survivor of rape culture, child sex trafficking, and psychological gas chambers. On this program, I advocate for women's rights, basic human rights, and the rights of those disabled. I also advocate on behalf of the foster children in the CPS system, orphans, single mothers, foster mothers, and those less fortunate. Targeted individuals or trafficked victims are predominantly women. 65 to 70% of TIs are white American women or those who identify as such. This makes gang stalking an illegal operation or hate crime that is sexually and politically motivated towards American women, their families, children, and supporters. This program is a dedication to the TI community. The objective of the opposition or the counterintelligence program, COINTELPRO 2.0, is to subvert all of the target's potentiality, to terminate and to punish all supporters and sympathizers, to round down the target's output and audience, to marginalize the target, to eliminate connections and networking ability, to facilitate trauma-based mind control. All right, and then so to continue here, I've got this spiritually suffocating bit that I wrote. And in a nutshell, it just basically goes on to describe this systemic oppression. And the last time I went to the doctor, they never mentioned anything in regards to me spiritually suffocating. So, and then the one thing that I wanted to mention as well before I possibly forget is how whenever I was detained and chemically and physically restrained. So this is actually methodically orchestrated ahead of time. So once they realize that the victim is aware of the trafficking and the exploitation and the extortion that is taking place, they will orchestrate to have the victim detained in a psych ward. Excuse me. And that's what they did to myself. And so that's why I have this show that that I've been doing. And so this spiritually suffocating right here just goes on to basically explain in more detail the exploitation and the trafficking, which is why I do my best to raise the awareness level on this. And basically just putting an etheric implant on a victim's life, basically cursing their victim's life. This is a form of classism. This is a class war. So this is like the people at the very top of this Ponzi scheme, this pyramid, basically using their positions of power within the community, their job titles and whatnot and what have you, to systemically oppress and segregate primarily female targets. So The fact that George Floyd is a black male just goes, that's an encrypted inversion. That just goes to show that they are actually targeting white women. And if you do your research, you will see that that is the very fact of the matter here. So I'm not saying that this is real or not, or this is real or fake. In my opinion, this was staged. This was a satanic sacrifice that was staged, okay? And that's what street theater is. And if you go on to read what I wrote here, the research that I came about finding, it just goes to show that this is a spiritual attack. This spiritually suffocating is an attack or a generational curse of some sort, where they feel like they have a legal right to be facilitating this torture and this trauma-based mind control, amongst many, many, many other crimes, but I'm going to try to review it briefly here. So, woke mob crimes against humanity. This is perpetuated by the Democratic left, so that would be the Biden administration, so that would be Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, or Kamala Harass, because that's what they're doing. So anyways, in order to facilitate impoverishment, they have to attack you anywhere and everywhere that you call home. So they are maliciously harassing, and then they're doing this so that they can try to have the female target arrested for trespassing. And then once that's successfully done, it's homeless from that point on. So it'll get banned or whatever. It'll get evicted, and this has happened many times. And it's because of these woke mob crimes against humanity. So this is the rituals for abuse, occult rituals for torture, occult rituals for generational blood sacrifice, occult rituals for generational karmic debt, a karmic will, or a karmic cycle. And so I went ahead and put no New World Order and no New World Disorder, which they don't listen. They don't care. Like, it doesn't hear anything. So anyways, occult rituals for generational punishment, impoverishment, slavery, destruction, and destabilization, anchoring for generational curses following trauma, which is trauma-based mind control, manufacturing a karmic debt cycle or will, abuse by divide and conquer method, inner conflicts with self and others, social butterfly method used to infiltrate, deceive, destroy, and deny, manufacturing trauma bonds to facilitate trauma-based mind control, neuro-linguistic programming, social engineering, usually performed by a state-paid actor or an undercover agent in action, most commonly referred to as, quote, crisis actors, forcing victims to suffer emotional and psychological distress by reliving traumatic experiences, echo chamber of death method, AI-based retrocausation, extensive international neuromonitoring programs can calculate a target's potentials before the target is aware of them. Side effects include breaking, forcing, bending, shattering, or distorting target's reality, mind, vitality, and will to live. Total individual remote control technology by omniscience. So nothing good comes of this because it's Satanism. That's what omniscience is. Organized stalking synchronized with electronic harassment, the new high-tech generation of COINTELPRO. In a nutshell, government sources are using directed energy weapons and artificial intelligence to terrorize, threaten, intimidate, discredit, silence, torture, and murder dissidents. One of the military tactics that they are using is the dream manipulation technology that I write about on my Facebook. In addition, security contractors, among others, are being hired as military thugs to gang stalk targets, quote, inflicting as much pain and suffering as possible without leaving any marks. This is directly from their handbook, so the fact that it implies this also implies that they are aware that victims of this are owed restitutions, because that's what pain and suffering is. That just means you owe me money. Directed energy weapons programs revolutionize this. By the way, I don't want anything you got, okay? COINTELPRO 2.0 methodology. Covert. Why is it covert? because it's illegal, bitch. Covert remote influencing technology, COINTELPRO 2.0, thought surveillance, neural AI net for psyche profiling. Go ahead and Google what a psyche is. Go ahead and Google that. That's psyche profiling is why so many people refer to this gang stalking as spiritual warfare. So if you don't know what a psyche is, Google it. COINTELPRO 2.0, directed energy weapon, mind control network for counter-proliferation targeting. Satanic sacrifice, occult practices, Luciferian brotherhood, occult experimentation with torture, devil worship, occult ritual exploitation and sacrifice, rape culture, occult gender-based hate crimes, exploitation, forcing women of opposing race to be sexually exploited for a profit or have sex against their will with men of opposing race, exploitation of white women to opposition for political gain, social currency, power, control, and profit. All sympathizers are punished immediately and tortured relentlessly, murdered even by political rivals without any mercy or restitutions. This is how Democrats force white women to pay restitutions for being, quote, racist, sins of the father method. And in my book, I describe how that's not even my real father. I just so happen to have his last name, okay? It's a very complex family unit that I come from. Sex magic, child trafficking, human sex trafficking, domestic servitude, occult rituals for rituals for profit. Every vulnerability is exploited over and over again for profit. Death cult, occult rituals for ritual sacrifice or blood sacrifice, identity theft, adrenaline rush, thrills that will kill, adrenochrome. So that's thrills that will kill the victim, So that's what I mean. Blood magic, occult blood rituals, several done annually to keep target anchored and hypnotized. Neuro-linguistic programming. There's a word you've never heard before. Thank you. Thank your local genius. NLP, mirroring expert hypnosis, electromagnetic trance. Some of these words are so big I can't even say them. Black magic, occult generational curses. Incubus, occult nightmares and psych torture. Succubus, occult nightmares and psych ritual abuse. And then we've got the dream manipulation technology here. Occult technological abuse to overwhelm and degrade the victim's senses, to degrade and to exploit, and most importantly, to adhere external painful stimuli. By the way, expert psychologists will tell you that you should not be able to feel pain in your dreams. The victims of this DMT technology, they are feeling nothing but pain in their dreams. So when they go to sleep, it's painful. And that sleep deprives them. Thought police, occult ritual coercion, mind probes, occult ritual exploitation. By the way, every single drop of Hollywood propaganda, news media, newspaper, everything has been ghost produced by myself. This is one of their satanic rituals. So anyways, mind probes, occult ritual exploitation, exploiting the target's intellectual property for profits, electronic rape, fight scenes during sex, usually in movies or algorithms. Okay, so I put this here because a lot of times what you will see in your algorithms, and when they're infected with malware, is you'll have like a picture of a mother and her child, or you'll have a picture of a child in the algorithm, and right underneath it will be like a picture of some prostitute's ass, half naked or practically naked. So that's how they're trying to groom you into this pedophilia and this child trafficking occult, this rape culture. Reptilian, shapeshifter, occult ritual, gang stalking, blue blood democracy. This is the police. Corporate America, store managers taking out the trash. This happens every time I go to get gas. So anyways, and that's a crime against humanity. Energy harvesting, occult phishing. Phishing is spelled with a PH. Data breach, data theft, and malware. This is how this social engineering malware is how these targets are getting misdiagnosed with a faulty mental health diagnosis. And that's a conspiracy. Gang stalking, occult malicious harassment, deep state sponsored. I'm not really sure if it is deep state sponsored. I feel like if it were, there wouldn't be such secrecy around it. But I have to double check on that. Electronic harassment, occult ritual abuse. Gang stalking, societal scapegoating, a ritual for abuse, and not just any kind of abuse, but the worst kind of abuse. A ritual for satanic sacrifice. Gang stalking, occult ritual sacrifice, gang stalking, occultism, propaganda, commercial vehicles, games, malware, mail, email, spam, newspaper, Hollywood movies, ads, books, podcast, media, dreams, lobbyists, and legislators keep this system in place for wealthy people to enslave the poor. That's classism, or a proxy war, which is, in this context, would be rich versus poor. All social engineering attacks are ghost produced by the slave, that would be me, the trafficked victim whose intellectual property is exploited for profit in all of the propaganda seen by the public. Every single last drop, down to the Karen movie, everything, I produce that, I ghost produce that. That's my energy. Gang stalking, character assassinations to incite violence, hatred, and forced oppression, to systemically segregate, to force isolate, to force victim to alienate. Gang stalking, ufology, to force alienate, bastardization, demonology. So all of this stuff about, ufology, they're all just bragging about the systemic oppression and the systemic segregation, the victims that they forced alienated, and then some of them will go on to commit suicide. And many of them will get locked up or put into a psych ward, and they'll stay in there for the rest of their lives. Ideally, that's the outcome that they would have happen. So these targets like myself that have a dream of becoming a overnight sensation, a huge artist like none other before, they really got to fight for that dream. And I mean, they really got to fight for that, because if these things have their way, it's over for the American dream. That's what they anticipate. That's the goal here. Gang stalking, encrypted inversions, reverse psychology, subliminal messages, microaggression, gang stalking, speech police, double think, double speak. So they say the exact opposite of what they mean. So when you see a black male, it's actually a white female that they're profiling. So anyways, to continue, gang stalking, hive mind, group think, group narcissism, socialized sociopaths, occultism, singularity, targeting, indifference. Gang stalking, ostracizing, public shaming, profiling, controlled opposition, dehumanizing. Gang stalking, systemic negligence, systemic racism, systemic abandonment. Gang stalking, occult triangulation. So anybody that triangulates is gang stalking, period. Gang stalking, if you don't know what triangulation is, go ahead and Google that. Gang stalking, occult microaggression, hate crimes. Gang stalking, occult gaslighting, crazy making, cover story for ritual abuse, cover story for scapegoating. Gang stalking, silencing the victims of systemic oppression, victims of rape culture, victims of cancel culture, ritual manipulation, abuse, and violence. I'm trying to do this fast, so my video is short. Gang stalking, systemic discrimination. Gang stalking, occult malicious harassment, stalking and domestic violence. Gang stalking, state-sponsored terrorism, like you're going to do this or else your family's going to die, that type of stuff. Gang stalking, a conspiracy against the victim's rights to deprive them of their rights. Gang stalking, a conspiracy to deprive the victim of their rights, exactly like I just said. Gang stalking, occult blackmail. Gang stalking, federally funded and mandated exploits for profit. Gang stalking, domestic servitude, domestic espionage, domestic violence, domestic terrorism. Gang stalking, severe cultural and sexual humiliations, sexual harassment, gender discrimination, and body dysmorphia. Gang stalking, social engineering. Social engineering is the electronic corpse responsible for creating an electronic holocaust. So that means the victims of this ritual abuse, when they go to report it, they're automatically forced onto antipsychotics and put into a restraint of some sort, and then probably illegally detained. That's medical malpractice, by the way, and police misconduct. So the social engineering is a crime against humanity, and it's the worst crime humanely possible. It's actually worse than murder and child exploitation combined. Counterproliferation programs are intended to subvert the potentials of a target while punishing them with psychosadist techniques. The perversions of COINTELPRO are notable. The murderous and sadistic ethos of government counterproliferation programs echoes that of the Nazis. And so the ones that are calling me a white supremacist are the real white supremacists. You can see it here, right here for yourself. Do your research. And the perpetrator network of war criminals are committing sickening acts upon the global population. And they think that they can continue to do this with no karmic repercussion whatsoever. Modern day COINTELPRO objectives. These are counterproliferation centered programs intended to subvert all progress, to discredit the target, to character assassinate, to slander the target, to taint the target's image, to misrepresent the target, to suppress the target's monetary success, to suppress the target's good character qualities or people's awareness of positive aspects of the target, to arrange a partner for the target, to mind control the partner of the target, to destroy relationships of the target, to co-opt the target's dreams or manifestation, cooperatives, which refers to a jointly owned or operated enterprise or organization, to turn the target into controlled opposition, in terms of beliefs and actions, to incriminate the target, to round down the target's output and audience, to marginalize the target, to eliminate connections and networking ability, which they're really good at. To suppress the target's personality, sanitization of pleasure, emotions, and individuality, to punish the target, to torture the target, to destroy the target's life, to stop a target from procreating, ending a target's bloodline, eugenics, to suicide the target, to covertly assassinate the target. Why does it need to be done covertly? Because it's illegal. That's why. To cover up the targeting operation, which is what they're working on doing right now. Mind control of people who provide opportunities for the target. Done and done. Use of family against the target. An example, mind control of family, also done. Gang stalking or organized stalking. Trauma-based mind control, which is no-touch torture. Character assassination, slander via proxies or proxy wars, technological illusions, psyops, misdirection. So any and every time that they say that this is for some good aspect, they're absolutely bullshit. It's absolutely full of shit. It's fucking straight up lying. Electromagnetic mind control aimed at discrediting the target. Use of pharmaceutical drugs against the target to overdose it. Okay, I know this from first-hand experience. I don't need to watch a documentary. This actually happened. To orchestrate the detaining of a target into a psych ward. Already happened. To discredit the word of the target's victimization so that they can't get any restitutions when they go to court to file. They'll just be gaslit. V2K, to get a target diagnosed as a, quote, paranoid schizophrenic. Oh, I'm so paranoid, I don't even smoke the flowers that you bring me. Exaggerated, warped, and untrue slander about the target is proliferated. Technology playing devil's advocate via implanted thoughts to get a target in trouble. Agenda to incriminate the target. That's an entrapment operation. Advice for COINTELPRO targets: stay lawful, which they are not. Trafficking and exploitation is illegal, so is murder and extortion. Use of ego against a target, weaponized mind control against a target, coercing of a target into appearing overly paranoid, an objective of stalking. So that's the goal. They want you to get a faulty mental health diagnosis, and they do this by stalking you everywhere you go, while stalking me everywhere I go, and maliciously harassing me, and performing trauma-based mind control. There's so many layers. Specific technological control of a target's body language or vocal tone so they can get you triggered. And this is done to generate mistrust. They do this using honeypots to incite jealousy and domestic violence in the relationship. Total individual control. Now, I highlighted this part. Technology is used as a tactic to take away a citizen's rights through a faulty mental health diagnosis. Now, this is their own words, not mine. Outlandish black project technology experiences intended to discredit when spoken. Use of electronic control grid to mind control misfortunes for a target. So like if I'm doing really well, it'll make a movie or a commercial or an ad or something like that. Or there'll be a news channel in the algorithm under the news portion where it'll reframe the situation. Untruthfully. Okay, so totally out of the context that it was in. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's totally not even representing me the correct way. Synthetic social phobias, synthetic social anxiety. So I don't think any of you have real anxiety. That's all synthetic. Public speaker related suppression. Suppression of whatever platform the target is talented in. An example, music production, software design, to dehumanize a target via electromagnetic neuroscience. So that's like why people say they're getting on my nerves. Quite literally, this is why. Because they're literally messing with your nervous system. Okay? Systemically. Severe targets are sanitized of pleasure, emotions, and personality. Synthetic suicide programming. So when they get deprived and isolated to the point where they finally do commit suicide, it's synthetic. They didn't really die of a suicide. They were set up. Technology enables serial killers with a taste for revolutionaries and activists. So that's what they're arranging to have done. Electronic targeting holocaust, which has already been done. So the reason why I wanted to read this and get to the very bottom where it says electronic targeting holocaust is because in the event that they do orchestrate the detaining of yourself into a psych ward and all you're doing is speaking your truth the way that I have been, well, number one, you go to the doctor. I went to the doctor and I told the doctor exactly the truth, what was happening. And she told me that I was suffering from some sort of paranoid delusion. And of course, that's what a pliable slave is. That's what they get paid to say. And that's what the doctor is, a pliable slave. So, and so what is very interesting about this, though, is that immediately after I told her that my life was in danger, and she flat out gaslit me and put me in the psych ward, they overdosed me inside the psych ward, and they tried to have me killed by forcing me onto all of these antipsychotic medications. So the very thing that I told her that they were trying to have done, that my life was in danger, all of this stuff, is the very thing that they did once they got me alone, by myself, vulnerable, and on the inside. So you can see how this is all bullshit, okay? From top to bottom, these doctors need to be fucking fired. There needs to be a fucking clean house. So anyways, you know, don't let it happen again because you might just get hit. That's all I'm saying. Now, don't let it happen again because you might just, oops, ba-dum-dum-dum. You know, what was that? Damn it. Did y'all hear something? Dang, I don't know. What was that? Have no idea. We'll never know that person's name. Not important. Doesn't matter.